Hello and welcome to the tutorial for RSM tool, the Realtime Shader Manipulator tool. I will show you how to set up the RSM tool and how to use and how to manipulate the shaders in real time. So let's get into it. First of all, if you want to set up the RSM tool, what we need to do is to find the prefab folder, and inside there we have already a setup one. This RSM tool setup, the prefab that we need to drag and drop to the scene. There we go. And now it's basically set up. This is it. It's ready. But in any case, if you want to create it manually, you can say RSM, let's say manual, let's name it like this. And we have to navigate to the script, and we need to find Realtime Shader Manipulator script. And all we have to do is drag and drop, and it's ready. That's this easy, and it's already set up. Now let's move on to how to manipulate the shaders. Now, in order to manipulate a shader and its properties, we need to first assign the material inside our tool. Before we getting into deep into the material and shaders, first of all, let me quickly describe what is this about. The RSM tool, we can see a button that is called Add New Config. And if we click on this, it will open our new shader data. In this shader data, we will see the target material, which the material that we're going to control, manipulate, which is directly controlling the shader. An ID, which will describe what are we controlling. It will be helpful for us, and moreover, it will be helpful for triggering the ID-based triggers instead of the trigger all the batch ones, and the reference name in order to be able to control the shader. So let's set it up first. So we have the walls in here in our scene, and in our scene the wall is called wall A plaster worn 1 material. So basically I want to control this, but what do I want to control in this? If we go down, we will see a dirt offset. And if I slowly increase this, the scene will change slowly. And if I decrease, it will change again. It is a simple example, but it's very effective in games. Now, in order to achieve this, we need to set up certain things. First of all, we need to find the material, and this is our material. So we go back to our RSM tool. We drag and drop our material here. It's important to note that it is best not to assign an instance material. Otherwise, it can cause, you won't be able to see the changes in the whole scene, and you will be only seeing in one object. Now, moving on, we assign the material, and then we need to give it a name. Now, this is important. We're not giving the material a name. We're we're identifying which property we're going to change. And this is for us, and plus for a method that is using the string inside the method, it's calling a string. So let's say dirt offset. Now we know what we're going to manipulate, and now we have to find the reference name for this specific property. And in order to find this, we need to go inside our shader. Now, as we're inside our shader, there's this dirt offset, which is set already, and there's a reference name. We're grabbing the reference name and placing here. Now, important to note, the ID here has nothing to do with the name in here. This is a label that is given to a shader, which we are not using in any way. This is just an identification. And this identification and this one, the name, they're not connected. The reference name, however, it's important because the reference name tells Unity which shader property that the system, the RSM tool will manipulate. And that's why it's very important. Now let's move on. In order to be able to control the properties, well, we need the minimum and maximum value. It's important to note that this tool is controlling the float variables inside the properties inside the shader. So if you check the minimum and maximum value, the minimum value for this specific property is -1. So we're setting -1 and the maximum is 1. So we're setting the max to 1. And the start value, just because of this example's sake, I want to start from the minimum value to the maximum value, and I wanted to increase it. So that's why I'm starting it from -1. And it's important to tell how fast I want it to do. Now it's important to note that again, that the change speed, if there's a range, if the range between the minimum and maximum value is small, and in this particular case it is small, so we need to put a value like 0.01. So in order to have a very smooth and slow transition. But for the example's sake, we're going to put 0.5, which will be not too slow but not too fast as well. It will be enough for us to demonstrate how it changes. And in order to see it continuously for this example's sake, we will do this ping pong instead of incremental. So it will increase and decrease, continuously looping. Now we set it up. We're quite ready to use it. This is ready to use. Now what we're gonna do is to trigger this. How we can trigger this? There are two ways to trigger. One, singular, and the second is batch control. For this example, I'm going to show you the singular control using the string identifier. So I already set up a canvas here, a button. And in order to run the RSM, basically we go to the button and on click, we are moving the RSM tool. And inside there, here is the trigger by ID. Now this is where the ID comes in handy. We also have reset all shaders, shader values, directions, and so on and so forth. We have the batch controls and the singular controls as well. So we go by the trigger by ID. And it asks us the ID. This is where the ID comes in handy. We have this ID here, ._offset. And then we return, and basically we paste it here. And voila, it's ready. Now we save the project just in case. And now we hit play. Now as you can see, nothing happening because we haven't run it yet. So if we click on run, and there we go. It increased the value and decreasing the value. And if you want to debug this, if you want to see what's going on, we can check inside the tool the current value and how it's changing. And that's basically how we can use the RSM tool. Now let me give you some additional information. Inside the documentation you can find these informations and you can get into more detail by reading to it. One important factor is that some shaders can be made by code instead of the shader graph. And if that case happens, if that's your case, if your shader is not a shader graph, but if it's a code like this, it's important to note that as a reference name, you must use the property value here. This is a label, and this is not useful for us. In order to manipulate this specific property inside the reference name, you need to enter this property. And then you will be able to manipulate it. So, we have reached to the end of this tutorial. If you want to find out more, you can check the documentation, which will be in the description. Thank you for purchasing and using the RSM tool, and hopefully you will create amazing sceneries and amazing games using this tool. Thank you.